Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 39 in the book of Hebrews. You're in a podcast called Be With Me, where we look 7 minutes to try to figure something out from the Bible. Today I'm going to title this, A World Before Promises. That's half the title. The other title is A World Before Promises and How We Consider Him Before We See the Promises Come True. So faith is knowing something is real before you see that it's real. And eventually, our faith will become sight. And after it becomes sight, no faith is necessary. So there's like a chance for faith. And the chance for faith is this unknown path. It might be a short-term path. It might be a long-term path. But it gives us an opportunity or a chance for faith. It requires not knowing where we are going or not knowing the end point. So we are in a question thing. Why did this happen to me? Or I don't see how this is going to turn out. So that's the not knowing part. The second thing it requires to be called faith is it requires knowing in whom you are trusting and how you are trusting that person while you're in that state of not knowing the outcome. So those two things are required for the chance for faith. All right. So while you are on this unclear circumstancing journey, are you trusting in God's character? How do you consider? Are you considering him in the right way? So faith is the answer to this constant question of, can I trust God in this particular circumstance? So far in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, this Hall of Fame of Faith, we've considered Noah, and he's been honored for a particular attitude of reverent fear, and then this other action, which is he built a boat. And then Abraham, who's a big character here today, Abraham is honored for a physical, geographical obedience despite not knowing where he was going. So today we're going to learn more about Abraham, and then we're also going to learn about his wife, Sarah. Watch for Sarah. Oh my goodness. So this is from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was going to receive as an inheritance. He went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac his son and Jacob his grandson, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. By faith Sarah herself received power to conceive even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful who had been promised. Therefore, from one man, in him as good as dead, were born descendants, as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. Okay, so we find here the action of Abraham is going to be empowered by the faith as he lived in, and here's kind of a catchphrase for today, a world before promises, a world before the promises are seen. So what was he going to do with his heart in the meantime? So you and I, we basically live in a world before promises. And I know lots of the promises of God have come true, but there's lots that we don't see yet. And the question today is, what are we going to do with our trust and our hearts? And will we have faith in the meantime? So it's holding on to the person of God while patiently waiting for the promises to come true. So while we are not knowing where this journey is going and how it's going to turn out, what are we going to do? Are we going to obey when called? Are we going to do the right thing? So we find Abraham here looking forward to a city. Listen to this. He's looking forward to a city which has foundation. So the roots and the rocks and the walls, it's a city that's so thought out that the walls start out not from the dirt. They start out from under the dirt. And it's this accomplished, designed, built city while he was in a tent. It's just a great picture. So he's under canvas. It's faith is knowing and anticipating and looking forward to a city when all he sees is a tent. And faith is seeing a city when all you see is canvas. And faith is seeing live descendants when all he has is the son and a grandson. So it's a great example. Faith, Abraham is a great example of faith. All right, so let's look at Sarah. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful, the Lord, who had promised. So it's Sarah considered him. Underline that. Sarah considered him faithful. So when she was old and past the age, that is menopausal, she believes in the Lord. So faith is how you consider God in the world before promises. And Sarah is a great example of that. So she is eventually going to get the power to conceive, and her faith is going to be sight, and she's going to get Isaac, and she's going to get this whole nation that she may not see all of it. But before that, here's what she sees. She's past the age. So she's past the age. She describes Abraham as being as good as dead. The point is, before she gets Isaac, before she sees how this turns out, what will she do with her trust? In whom will she trust before the promises become evident? So faith is how you consider God, like Sarah, during these dicey circumstances, during unseen circumstances. So consider your circumstances today. Maybe you're asking, hey, why do I have to work with that person? Or why I cannot conceive a baby? Or why does that person have to die? Or how am I going to make ends meet financially? Or why is that person that I married, why have they disappointed me? Or why do I have this new lump that may be a cancer? Or why did I get paralyzed? So faith is how we consider him in the world before promises. My prayer is like Abraham. May we have actions that are empowered by faith when we don't know where we are going, when we don't know how this is going to turn out. And like Sarah, I pray that this faith would be how we consider him in the world before promises. So Lord, may we consider you, may we think about you correctly before we see all the promises that we know are going to be true someday, how we consider you in the meantime. Let us consider you like Sarah did. Let us consider you like Abraham did. Let's trust in your promises while we live in the world before promises. Thank you for listening.